If you're flooding through a pad or tampon in under an hour or passing clots the size of a quarter, you know who you are. Stop scrolling. That is not something you have to live with, and it's not just perimenopause. But before you panic, I just want you to take a deep breath. I want to talk about heavy periods in perimenopause and how incredibly common they are. I see this in my practice every single week. Women who have been told that it's totally normal to start having heavy erratic cycles, it's part of being perimenopause, and they feel blindsided because it's embarrassing. It's a lot. Flooding your clothes at work, having to keep extra supplies everywhere. It's too much. So today I'm going to tell you exactly why this happens, how to know if something's normal or if it's a warning sign, and what your real options are for getting this thing under control. Because you shouldn't have to suffer and you shouldn't have to endure this. There are options. I'm Dr. Jennifer Roelands, an integrative OB-GYN, and I help women every single day in midlife. So let's get into it. So to understand why bleeding gets heavier in perimenopause, you need to understand what happens in perimenopause. And hormonally, because it's almost never explained to most women. Once you understand this, it completely makes sense. Your menstrual cycle is driven by a conversation between two hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen builds up the uterine lining in the first half of your cycle. Then when you ovulate, if you ovulate, the remnant of that follicle in the ovary is called the corpus luteum, and that produces progesterone. Progesterone stabilizes and matures the lining. So when estrogen and progesterone both drop at the end of a cycle, right at say day 20 to 24, you get this controlled, organized period. But here's what happens in perimenopause. You start having cycles and you didn't ovulate. So cycles where you're not consistently ovulating on the day 13, 14, or you just don't ovulate at all. So no ovulation means no corpus luteum. No corpus luteum means no progesterone production. And without progesterone to regulate the lining, estrogen keeps building and it becomes thicker and thicker and thicker inside the uterus, and there's no stabilizing counterweight. When the lining finally sheds, it sheds heavy and a lot of it, sometimes with clots. Feels very dramatic. In Western medicine, we don't have a term for this, but a lot of times we describe this as estrogen dominance because your estrogen isn't really supportive of the level of progesterone. So you have high estrogen relative to progesterone. This is also why periods in perimenopause become very unpredictable. You might skip a month entirely because you did not ovulate, and so therefore you had no period, and then bleed heavily the next month when the lining finally releases. The pattern you relied on for a long time becomes unreliable almost overnight. So you can have periods or cycles that are shorter or cycles that start to space out. And here's something many women don't realize. You can still ovulate occasionally even in perimenopause. So you have to use birth control if you're not wanting to become pregnant. So in perimenopause, you can alternate between a regular cycle and a non-ovulatory cycle, which makes the whole thing chaotic. And perimenopause feels chaotic all the time anyway. But in relation to your period, it's because you're having heavier and unpredictable periods. Okay, so this is the section you probably came for, and let me be specific. What is the range of normal for perimenopause? Well, it can look like a heavier flow than you used to be. So maybe your periods were 4 or 5 days and now they're 7 or 8 days. You may pass clots, but they need to be smaller than a quarter. Cycles may become shorter or they may become longer. You could skip periods and then have a heavy one. These are all consistent with the changes in the hormonal fluctuations of perimenopause. While they are kind of annoying and disruptive and uncomfortable, they can be pretty typical. But they're not dangerous on their own. When I want you to see a doctor, let's talk about those reasons. I want you to see a doctor let's talk about this. So soaking through a pad or tampon every hour for 1 or 2 hours, that's too much. Passing clots larger than the size of a quarter. Bleeding that lasts longer than 10 days. Bleeding between periods. So if you're having a regular kind of pattern and suddenly you have spotting and bleeding in between, we need to see a doctor. Feeling lightheaded, dizzy, fatigued during your period, this may be signs of actually significant blood loss. Any bleeding if you've gone 12 months without a period, so now you're officially in menopause, and now you're getting bleeding. That needs to be evaluated right away. Postmenopausal bleeding has to be evaluated. So I want to be honest with you about something. When women come in to me with very heavy perimenopausal bleeding, we don't say it's just perimenopause and send them home. We rule things out because while it could be perimenopause, there are many things that kind of mimic it and you wouldn't want to miss it. So some other causes of heavy bleeding that are not perimenopause, let's talk about those. Number one, uterine fibroids or structural issues. Fibroids are benign muscle tumors in the uterine wall. They can be on the inside of the uterus. They can be on top of the uterus. They're actually pretty common in women in their 40s. Some people even say up to 70% of women will develop one by the time they're 50. Many fibroids cause no symptoms whatsoever, but some of them press on the uterine lining inside the cavity, causing dramatic bleeding. And combined with the hormonal changes, it makes this bleeding even more. Uterine polyps are just small, benign overgrowths of the uterine lining, so they're very similar because they're structural like fibroids. They can also cause heavy bleeding and spotting between periods. Second, adenomyosis. This is a condition where the lining actually grows into the muscle of the uterus. It causes heavy, painful periods. Even women in their 30s could notice this. But when they start going through perimenopause, this actually gets worse because of the hormonal fluctuations. On ultrasound, it can look like an enlarged uterus, a boggy uterus. Number three, thyroid. An underactive thyroid is really common. In fact, thyropause, I did a whole video on thyropause. And it's a commonly missed cause of heavy periods in women over 40. It's worth checking. And honestly, you should have everybody who's over 40 should have a whole set of labs, including thyroid, every single year. And lastly, uterine cancer or precancerous change. I don't really want to scare you, but because it can cause heavy bleeding, it's important that you get evaluated for that as well. Women in perimenopause are at an age where uterine cancer risk can actually go up. And if you have other factors like obesity, diabetes, you've never been pregnant, you have a family history of uterine or colon cancer, that needs to be part of the decision as well. If your doctor thinks it might be a structural thing like a polyp or a fibroid or adenomyosis, then they're going to order an ultrasound and may do an endometrial biopsy, which is an in-office procedure. That way they can actually evaluate the lining of the uterus. So don't be scared of those tests. I know they can be uncomfortable, but there's a lot of good pain management options now. It's important that you get evaluated now and not overlook those symptoms. The last test I want to mention is iron. So heavy periods can cause blood loss. Blood loss depletes iron, and many women with heavy perimenopausal bleeding are iron deficient, sometimes severely, and they have no idea. They just think it's normal because they're having issues with feeling breathless on stairs, fuzzy, lightheaded, brain fog, exhausted. Their kids are running around everywhere, parents are taken care of, but low ferritin, your stored iron, is the first thing to drop. So a standard CBC can completely miss it, while your ferritin is critically low. I always check ferritin in every woman over 40. In fact, I did a whole video on labs that are important. Actually, over here, labs that are important for women over 40. So check that one out as well. If your ferritin is low, iron supplementation is important, and you may need more than the standard over-the-counter dose. I typically recommend ferrous bisglycinate. It needs to be combined with vitamin C for better absorption, but it's a little gentler than things like ferrous sulfate. But we also want to address the source of the blood loss. So you get your iron checked, even if you have iron deficiency anemia, what are we going to do about the heavy periods? And that's what I'm going to talk about next, so stick around. You have real options, and I want you to know about all of them. So hormonal options first. Since the problem is usually low progesterone compared to estrogen, most women benefit from progesterone. So taking oral progesterone, oral micronized progesterone, and the brand name is Prometrium, or a compounded version, works great to help women who are having heavy periods. You can take it cyclic, so you can take it from days 14 to 28, or you can take it continuous. Kind of depends on what stage of perimenopause you're in, right? It also helps with sleep, which is also fantastic. It can reduce blood flow in many women, and a lot of women will say, man, my cycles are back to normal. You can also consider something like a hormonal IUD. So a Mirena, Liletta, there's a bunch of companies. It delivers progesterone locally to the uterine lining. It's one of the most effective treatments for heavy periods, even in premenopausal women. And the bonus is if you need birth control, it's a great birth control option. It now lasts up to 8 years, so you can actually bridge over to menopause and not need anything else for birth control. which is great. You can also take oral progesterone on top of that if you start developing sleep problems. It's important to know in perimenopause, you can still ovulate, even if you're getting irregular cycles. So if you need birth control, have that part of the conversation. Low-dose hormonal contraceptives like pills, patches, rings can also regulate the cycle, reduce bleeding, and they provide birth control. So some women like those as well. If you have contraindications to estrogen and you're not able to take it, a progesterone-only pill is also another option. So non-hormonal options can include things like ibuprofen or tranexamic acid. They both reduce blood flow, sometimes up to 40% on your heaviest days. So you start them right before you know you're going to have your period or right at the start of your period, and they help reduce pain with cramping, but also bleeding. They're a good short-term option, but long-term, if you're going to have heavy periods for the next 4 to 6 years, you probably need a different approach. Okay, so let's talk about the structural causes I mentioned previously: fibroids, polyps, adenomyosis. There are specific treatments for each one of those structural issues. A hysteroscopic polyp removal or hysteroscopy can reduce polyps. Sometimes hysterectomies need to be done for fibroids that are large and difficult to control and that are not inside the uterus. But this is a conversation you should have with your gynecologist, because you have hormonal options and you also have surgical options. But in addition to medical treatment, I encourage my patients also to support progesterone naturally with magnesium glycinate, which is actually, magnesium is used for over 300 reactions in the body. It supports the hormonal signaling pathways involved in progesterone production. So, and it's great for helping you to sleep. It reduces inflammation as well. You also want to combine it with a an anti-inflammatory diet. So you want to reduce things like sugar, refined carbohydrates, alcohol, because they can really make your hormonal imbalance much, much worse and drive heavy bleeding. And they can certainly worsen things like thyroid disease. So having an anti-inflammatory diet is just as important. So if your bleeding is driven by progesterone that's low and you're curious about other bioidentical hormone therapy, check out my next video, which is Doctor's Guide to Hormone Replacement Therapy. It gives you all the options of both estrogen and progesterone. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe and let me know what you want to learn more about. I love talking about different topics of perimenopause and menopause, and I'm happy to make content that you really want.